This is the preschool classroom in the early learning center that I volunteered. This is Lisa. She is the preschool teacher of this early learning center. She has more than 10 years experience in teaching preschools. This preschool has children from different backgrounds. I had some discussions with her about some definitions in education. She gave me very clear explanations. According to her, the deficit in education is normally linked with special education. It is usually used to describe the education system's tendency to emphasize on students' weaknesses such as learning disability, cognitive impairment, and emotional behavioral disorder rather than a student's strength. And deficit may be happen due to cultural difference such as race and religion, poverty and literacy. It allows education system to decide the outcome of the student. In the other hand, it may create hopelessness in both students and educators who work with them. Normalization in education aims for students with learning disabilities to experience a normal pattern of everyday life, such as having normal routines, spending time in ordinary places, and undertake normal day-to-day activities. Self-esteem of people with learning disabilities could be enhanced through inclusion and creating opportunities to take on valued. Lisa believes that all children in Australia have the right to an inclusive education. However, there are many barriers to the realization of this right in the lived experience of children and families. Inclusive education involves embracing human diversity and welcoming all children and adults as equal members of an educational community. This involves valuing and supporting the full participation of all people together within mainstream education settings. Inclusive education requires recognizing and upholding the rights of all children and adults and understanding human diversity as a rich resource and an everyday part of all human environments and interactions. Inclusive education is an approach to education free from discriminatory beliefs, attitudes, and practices, including free from ableism. This is Lisa's 2019 preschool class. This is Jack. He is a special needs child who is suffering from ADHD. It came from Jack's dad's side. Parents are separated because of it. Currently, Jack is living with his mom. ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It is a developmental disorder that begins in early childhood. ADHD is a medical condition where children have trouble focusing, can't sit still a lot of time, and act before they think. Many children have trouble with some of these things, but in children with ADHD, this behavior is extreme and has a big impact on their daily lives. With ADHD, the different parts of the brain don't talk to each other in a typical way. Because of this, children might have trouble thinking, learning, expressing their feelings, or controlling their behavior as well as other children of the same age. Symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder fall into three groups. First one, inattentive symptoms. For example, doesn't pay close attention to details and makes careless mistakes. Has difficulty following instruction and finishing tasks like homeworks. Has difficulty keeping attention on ongoing things and easily distracted. Is often distracted by little things. Has trouble remembering everyday things. Second one, hyperactive symptoms. Fidgets a lot and can't sit still. Run around, climbs on things in inappropriate situation. Is on the go all the time. Find it hard to play or take part in activities quietly. Third one, impulsive symptoms. Is impatient and doesn't wait for a turn. Blurts out answer before questions are finished. interrupt other people's conversation or games, or uses things without asking. Even if children have symptoms like the ones listed above, it doesn't always mean that child has ADHD. There are other problems that could cause behavior that look like ADHD. For example, problems with health, emotion, sleep, or school. But according to Lisa, Jack is diagnosed with ADHD. So he is showing some of above symptoms. Children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder often have associated problems at school, including learning disabilities, language impairment, and movement difficulties. Sleep problems like trouble falling asleep and staying asleep overnight can often make school even more difficult. A combination of genes and environmental factors might increase the risk for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Some environmental factors might include extreme prematurity or low birth weight, smoking and other substance using during pregnancy, mother's age at childbirth, mother's prenatal and postnatal mental health, as well as exposure to environmental toxins like lead. There is no evidence that food intolerance causes children to develop ADHD symptoms. So I raised a question for Lisa. I asked her, how do you manage a child with ADHD classroom with other children in your class? So she gave me a very clear answer. She said when she considers the physical environment, she always makes sure the work area as uncluttered as possible and always sit Jack near the front of the classroom. She tried to plan seating and furniture carefully to minimize distractions. When considering the learning strategies, she tried to provide one-to-one instruction as often as possible. A class buddy who gets along well with the Jack can be helpful to reinforce instruction and directions. Make sure activities have plenty of hands-on involvement. Schedule the most important learning to take place during Jack's best concentration time. This is usually in morning. Keep choices to minimum. To reduce overactivity and fatigue, Liz has a plan. She built rest breaks into activities.